there's a quiet shift happening on YouTube. Growth isn't coming from volume anymore, it's coming from quality. A lot of people still believe that growing on YouTube means uploading hundreds of videos, grinding week after week, hoping something eventually sticks. But the reality is some of the fastest growing YouTube channels today are blowing up because of one single video. The truth is, one single video can make your entire channel go viral. Some of the biggest creators today have gone viral with a single video, and if not one single video, a couple at most. So in this video, I want to break down to you guys the exact process for creating a high quality video that gives you real chances of going viral. Before you even touch a camera, you need one thing first, and that is an idea. And this is where most people go wrong. They skip the step or they rush through the step. They go straight into filming without really thinking about the idea. But this is actually the most important part. If you usually skip this step, you need to start doing it. And if you already do it, but don't spend much time on it, this is the step that you need to be spending more time, because this is where you will see some of the biggest results come from. Some of the biggest YouTubers say this step gives you the best ROI. Just take a look at this interview of what Mr. Beast had to say.
When I was 19, you realize that like the idea is so freaking important. Like you could theoretically, most YouTubers watching this, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas. Like no joke, it's that extreme.
You see, Mr. Beast mentions that the idea is king and that a good idea has the potential to generate much more views for the amount of effort that you put into making that video. This has the highest ROI, because if your idea is boring or it doesn't appeal to a large enough audience, then no matter how good your video is, it will have a ceiling to it no matter how perfect you do the other steps that I'm about to mention. For example, I'm going to be showing you guys two videos right now, and we're going to understand why one of them got much more views than the other. Which one of these videos do you think got more views? Video A or video B? If you answered video B, then you are correct. But why? Why did this happen? You see, a good idea can mean millions of views, or it can simply mean a couple thousand. In our case, video A had a much smaller target audience for the video idea. It only appealed to people that were Tesla shareholders. On the other hand, video B appealed to a much larger target audience. It appealed to anyone interested in dinosaurs, from kids to adults. With that said, I'm not saying that video A was a bad idea, but I wanted to show you how some ideas have a ceiling for the views they get compared to others, and it all has to do with the idea. If you aim for your video to appeal to the biggest audience possible in your niche, you'll get the most views possible for the effort that you put in. But the question is, how do you come up with better ideas? And I have two words for you guys: discipline and consistency. Let me explain what I mean, but before I explain what I mean, let's take a look at this interview by Colin and Samir talking about how Ryan ideates.
One time we were in a car with Ryan. It was like an hour and a half car ride, and we were talking. And we were just like talking about whatever, catching up on life, and like an alarm went off on his phone. And he was like, oh, hold on 1 sec. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Just put on his headphones and just took to his phone. 10 minutes later, he took out his headphones. He was like, yeah, so what were we talking about? I was like, what was that? And he was like, oh, every single day I brainstorm 10 new ideas. I think that just informs you of his discipline. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. He's just going to do it. Even if he's in the middle of a conversation, even if it's like, he has a thing that he's focused on that he's going to do. And that's what, like, those ripple effects of brainstorming ideas like that, that's what creates this concept. That's what creates the OMG Airbnbs video that he made. That's what creates these like events that he produces.
It's what creates these ideas, but without the discipline to execute, it's nothing.
You see, coming up with ideas doesn't involve a magic formula or secret that only the top YouTubers know. It comes down to discipline and consistency, putting in the reps on a daily or minimum weekly basis. This way you get into the habit of always ideating, and over time you're going to build a library of ideas. I would recommend you set a time each day, whether that's 10, 15, or 30 minutes just to ideate on a daily basis. And if you cannot do it on a daily basis, do it on a minimum weekly basis. What I used to do is set up one specific day where I would block out like 4 to 6 hours and just solely dedicate it to ideating, like just idea. I would most of the time get 100 plus ideas written in that time block. So daily basis or weekly basis, set a time and do that. This way, not only will you build a library of ideas to choose from, but you will also build the muscle of always getting into the habit of ideating. And what will happen is that you will start to see that you will become more aware just in your daily life outside of YouTube and outside your work. And really, you can draw inspiration from anywhere. It doesn't have to be solely from YouTube, from your channel, or from your competitors. It can be from any other part of your life, whether that's movies, music, TV shows, anywhere. And what you'll find as well is that, at least what I found, is that throughout my day, whenever an idea came up in my head, I would simply just, get my phone, get my notes app on my iPhone, or, if you have Notion, on your Notion notes, and basically just write the idea or write the ideas as they come. So that's another cool trick if you guys want to do that. So now that you have a killer idea, what comes next is what most people skipped and do at the end. I used to always do this at the end myself and would always make my title, and more specifically my thumbnail, until I finish my video, when it should be the opposite. You should focus on making your packaging first, which is your title and thumbnail. But why should you focus on making your packaging first and not last? The reason is because if you cannot package your idea into a good title and thumbnail, no matter how good your video is, no one will click and watch. If your idea is good, you should be able to fit it in a good title and thumbnail. And if you cannot do this, well, this might be an indication that your idea may not be as good as you thought it might have been. You have to package your idea in a way that makes people want to click. So let's break down how you do this, and let's take a look at how you do a title first. If we take a look at these two titles, which one do you think people will click on the most? Title A or title B? If you said title B, then you are correct. A good title needs to be short, punchy, and create curiosity for people to stop and click and watch your video. It has to use simple, clear words along with using universal language that most people around the world can understand. And we see that in title B, but we don't see that in title A. By the way, just so you guys know and don't get confused, I made up title A and rewrote Ryan Trahan's title, but that wasn't actually his title. His actual title was title B. Going back to why title A isn't good. First, it's not short. It is 60 characters compared to the original title, only 32. The original title is almost half the length. Title A is also not punchy. It simply doesn't sound good. It also doesn't create curiosity like the original one. Title A simply tells you, here are the games I will play. It gives you the answers. While Title B creates curiosity by not telling you what games and just stating 50 years of video games. You're curious to see how that looks like, what are the games, and it makes you think. That's what a good title should do. It should make you stop and curious about what the video will be about so you can click and find out. Now you know what a killer title looks like, but what about the thumbnail? Again, let's take a look at these two examples. Which thumbnail do you think people will click on the most? If you said option A, you are right. When it comes to your thumbnail, you want to pair it with your title. It has to complement the title. Make it so your thumbnail only has 2 to 3 main elements. Make the colors contrast. Ask yourself, does this make people curious? And if we take a look at why thumbnail A is doing it right versus thumbnail B, we will notice the difference. Thumbnail B is actually a very old video by me titled Why Your Instagram Isn't Growing, Common Mistakes 2019. And I want to break down to you guys one thing I did right, but most of it I did wrong. Breaking down this thumbnail, I see I actually did one thing right, and that is to complement or add on to the title. My title was Why Your Instagram Isn't Growing, Common Mistakes 2019, and my text complements or adds to it by saying 7 mistakes that ruin your growth. What I did wrong was that there were too many words, total of 6 in the thumbnail, so I would shorten this to 3 to 5 max. Another mistake I see is, as we discussed, is to make your thumbnail simple, only 2 to 3 elements, and as I'm looking at this, I see that my thumbnail is way too busy. You have me, you have the text, you have 2 different backgrounds, you have an IG logo, and you have a heart like icon. There's just way too much going on. Another thing is that the colors and the subject, which is me, I don't stand out. I look like I blend in, and I cropped myself in this thumbnail, which is a horrible job if I'm being honest. Also, the text doesn't stand out at all. I would change the font and color. When it comes to curiosity, it's not bad, but I think I could have done better. You see, there are many things in this thumbnail that would need to be changed if it would qualify as a killer thumbnail. On the other hand, let's take a look at option A, which is a thumbnail by Ryan Trahan on a video titled Solo Car Camping in -18 degrees. And we see this is what a good thumbnail should be. To start, it complements the title by the way we see Ryan and the background. It looks like it's really cold and that he is solo camping in a car. There are only 3 main elements on the screen: him, the car, and the forest. The red jacket he used also stands out with the background, and it makes you curious. It looks like he's in the middle of nowhere, freezing by himself without anyone in sight. Also, one thing I would add to this is that it looks realistic and not over exaggerated or overly edited. Okay, so you have your idea, you have your packaging. What's next? Your intro or your first couple of seconds. Now that you have made people click on your video, your job is to retain them so they don't click off right away. You see, people don't want to waste time. You might think that your content is free, but this is not the whole truth. Just because people are not paying with money to watch your videos doesn't mean that they're not paying, because they are paying with the most valuable thing we have as humans, and that is time. If you want people to stay and not click off right away, you have to give them a reason not to. It has to deliver on the promise that you made in your title and your thumbnail. Let's take a look at an example. If I were to do a video on 10 secrets on how to lose belly fat, and I started the video like this: hey guys, my name is Emmanuel. I'm a certified fitness coach. For those of you that don't know me, I started my fitness journey 10 years ago and this YouTube channel a couple months ago with the goal to inspire people and help people out. So if you can please smash the like button and subscribe before we start, that would mean the world to me. My goal is to get 100k subs by the end of this year on this channel, so your help would be highly appreciated. Yeah, this is not what you should be doing. This is not how you should be starting your video. I did not promise on the title and thumbnail, and there was really no value for the first couple of seconds. I rambled about me and what I wanted you, the viewer, to help me with, instead of how I can help you, the viewer. You see, you cannot ask before you give. You have to know people's time. Give value first and then ask. On the other hand, a much better intro would have looked like this. By far, the hardest part to lose fat is around your belly. Whether you want to lose a couple pounds or get into single-digit body fat percentages, what I'm about to break down to you are the 10 secrets that help me go from 25% body fat to 10%. Starting with number 1. You see, this is already way much better. I started with a catchy statement, then proceeded to mention what I promised in the title and thumbnail, which is to go over the 10 secrets on how to lose body fat. Then I go straight into number 1. This works because I'm giving value first, delivering on the promise I made in the title and thumbnail, making the intro quick with no fluff, and getting straight into the video, respecting the viewer's time. It is much better. So you want to ask yourself, how can I deliver on the promise of the title and thumbnail, add value first, respect the viewer's time, cut out fluff, and catch people's attention right away. This will help you retain people in the intro without having them click off, but this is only one part of the retention. So let's talk about how you can retain them after the intro for the rest of your video. And this is where things get tricky because there's so many strategies and structures that you can do. First of all, there are many types of videos and niches, but most videos fall into the categories of entertainment or educational. And what I'm about to explain to you applies to both, and that is storytelling. First, let's break down educational videos. A lot of people think that if you're doing educational videos, you cannot have a story to it, but I would argue this is not the case. You can still have a story to it. And one way to do this is by teaching in segments instead of dumping all information all at the same time. Going back to my 10 secrets to lose belly fat example, this would be considered an educational list-based video. Most of it is just listing points, the 10 secrets, and breaking them down. So the challenge here with this video is, how do we add story to it? Let's take an example, and let's say one of the secrets is to limit sugar. Instead of explaining only why sugar is bad, you could tell a story about sugar. Maybe it's your own struggle and your own story of how you overcame eating a lot of sugar and sugar addiction, or maybe it's someone else that you know. Because when you do this and when you attach a story to the lesson, instead of just listing facts and information, people will connect with it much more. Another way to incorporate story and flow into an educational video just like the example that I went over, is to make it flow from one segment to another. For example, if my first secret in losing belly fat is not to eat sugar and change your diet, and my second point is to do resistance training, I would find ways to connect these points together. I would say something like, but diet alone and limiting sugar will not be enough to lose belly fat. You have to work out, because without working out, you will just end up being skinny fat. So to avoid this, you have to focus on resistance training, which is my second secret in losing belly fat. You see, I bridged one segment into another. What this does is that it makes it flow and seem like a story that is connected. I would then proceed to do this with all 10 secrets to make the video flow and have a structure flow to it. We just broke down educational content. Now let's break down entertainment content. A video I always come back to is from the creators of South Park, where they explain storytelling.
We've found out this really simple rule that maybe you guys have all heard before, but it took us a long time to learn it. But we can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words "and then" belong between those beats, you're f***ed, basically. You got something pretty boring. What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but.
As we saw, what they say is simple but very powerful. To tell a better story, you shouldn't just list events. You should connect events through cause and effect. Instead of saying this happened and then this happened and then this happened, they say you should be able to connect each part of your story with words like therefore, but, or because. For example, let's take a look at this bad version where basically it's just a list of events. I wanted to lose belly fat. I worked out more. I ate healthier. I didn't see results. This is just facts, not a story. Now let's take a look at a better example. Cause and effect. I wanted to lose belly fat, but it wasn't working. So I looked at what I was eating. I realized I was eating a lot of sugar. Therefore, I cut it out. Because of that, my belly fat finally started going down. When you structure your story this way, it creates tension and momentum. Each moment feels meaningful because it leads to the next one. And that's what makes a story engaging. Not just a list of facts and events, but a chain of decisions, obstacles, and consequences. The last piece is your intro, and honestly, this is the easiest part, but also where most people go wrong. Once your last question or payoff of your video is answered, end your video. Don't drag it out. This isn't Hollywood, it's YouTube. The longer you ramble, the more your retention drops. Wrap up in 1 or 2 sentences and end it. So now you have a strong idea, good packaging, a solid intro, better storytelling, and an outro. At this point, filming and uploading should be the easy part if you focused on everything that we covered. Do everything we covered and you will greatly increase your chances of one of your videos breaking out, because that's how big channels get their first spike. One video that works and then they start to get momentum. And if you want another breakdown on the creator economy, click somewhere on the screen to watch the next video. All right guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one.